So if you're a part of the Instagram Yu-Gi-Oh community or a part of my Discord or even the comments section of most YouTube videos that talk about PSA cards, you would know that there's been a lot of controversy surrounding PSA 9s and PSA 8s, hell, even PSA 10s. But if you're not aware, let me catch you up real quick. Ever since I started cracking PSA 9s and PSA 8s on my YouTube channel, a bunch of other people have been doing the same practice to try and fill their binders up with mint cards. The problem is that as they were cracking more and more samples, they started realizing that, damn man, these PSA 9s are not actually mint cards. Hell, they're not even near mint cards. They're pretty much light play even by TCG player standard. Some went as far as cracking PSA 10s on lower end cards to try and get a mint specimen, and only to find that there is literally bent corners or dings on the card. So how is this happening, right? You should be able to see the flaws with the card right away, right from the case. You shouldn't need to crack it in order to find these. Well, that only applies to whitening or edge wear. There's a lot of surface issues that happens on cards, things like dimples, indents, literally like soft corners, a lot of stuff that you can miss through the case, and it's very hard to see, especially when you're talking about older cert numbers. And don't worry, I'll be covering cert numbers a little bit later on. So what was happening was people were cracking their PSA slabs, and you know, they've examined the outside perfectly well, they've examined the edge wear, there's nothing wrong with it. They crack it and they end up seeing like a lot of issues on the surface of the card, majority of them being scratches and smudges. And this has been happening for the past like 1 to 2 months. A lot of people are outraged. A lot of people have even decided to quit collecting PSA cards in general and just sticking to eye-examined cards that they see on video from other sellers. Some have went as far as to say, I'm only going to collect this cert number and this era of PSA graded cards because this is the one that I would feel more comfortable with. And this is where we get to the whole cert number. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, the cert number I'm addressing is that bottom right number that you see here. This is the number that PSA uses to look up your card. It's the number that you can look up on the PSA website to find images of your card. And this number has so much controversy behind it because people believe that PSA grading standard shifted in between certain eras. And by eras, I mean like literally the number on the cert. So, you know, some people say like the 2 cert, which means the cert number that ends with 20 million is the most accurate or the least accurate to their grading standards. A lot of people will die on the hill of saying that 6 certs and 7 certs are the ones that are like the hardest graded cards. So if you have a 6 cert or a 7 cert PSA 9 or 10, you have a really clean specimen. So yeah, like the theories are plentiful and there's a lot of explanations that people have come up with to justify the errors that they're seeing in their PSA grades. Recently, I received 4 slabs that I had intended to crack for my binder. I figured, you know what, all of this controversy is going on. Let me open up these on camera and see how valid are people's claims and theories. The 4 slabs are of completely different eras. So we have a 2 cert, a 4 cert, a 5 cert, and a 6 cert. And all of them from the outside look like really clean specimens with little to no issues at all that I could see with my bare eye. So in today's video, we're going to be cracking these 4 slabs. They're extremely high end, so I'm quite worried. They're all $500 plus each. I hope that they are up to standard, they're up to snuff, and that everything that's been going on is just outliers and not really the norm. We're going to be putting PSA to the test and seeing, are PSA 9s worth it or are they all just fluff? Let's get into it. Alright, so these are the cards that we're going to be cracking today. I tried to get certs from every era per se. So here we have a 6 cert with Gilgarth. Then we have an Elemental Hero Shining Enforcer from the 5 certs. Then we have a 4/6 cert with Cyberdark Dragon, Ultimate Rare. And then we have a 2 cert for Silent Doom. Now obviously these are all cards that I need for my binder, so I mean it makes sense to crack them. But not only that, I actually traded for these with my boy Peter. He's a local collector. He got something that is like dumb rare from my collection. It's something that I don't have a replacement copy of, but because it went to a good collector, I thought it was like the right time to let it go, and I needed all of these. So we're gonna crack them and see like, hey, which ones are actually mint according to PSA. And we're gonna start with the 2 cert, which is the oldest one. Now this one I believe is not that clean. I actually had a look at it when we were doing the trade, and I wasn't too happy with the with the condition, but I figured I would show you anyway. So we're gonna open up this bad boy. And then pull her out. Like so. And then here's the Silent Doom. So let's take a look real quick. So the front looks to be pretty immaculate, and look at the back. Oh man. So this is what I would consider like TCG player near mint. There is scratches on the back like here. There's some waxing. It's definitely not collector near mint in my opinion. In terms of the corners, we're just trying to see if there's anything with issues. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, so it just looks like these scratches right in the middle here. I mean, it is what it is. I kind of knew that going in, but like I said, I got these for a pretty solid deal where essentially they're actually like pretty much free with the item that I traded for, because I bought the item so long ago. There we go. And if you guys are interested in what these sleeves are, they will be coming soon. Stay tuned. You're going to see them for sale in the Strictly Sealed store. That's at strictlysealedinc.com. Completely seals the card up. Boom. Check that out. So that's Silent Doom. I would say that this is a weak 9 in my opinion. I would say like it's probably more around PSA 7 or 8. But yeah, that's the 6 cert. Let me just take this out so that we can remember and push this off to the side. Next, we have the 4 cert Cyber Dark Dragon. I wonder how this one will do. Now, obviously, this is all anecdotal. It's all my own cards that I'm seeing here. Like it's like one copy of each era. So it's really hard to judge like the whole era based off of this. But I figured I would give you guys this demo and you can decide for yourself if PSA is reliable or not. I'm not going to really comment on this one. I'm going to leave it up to you guys. So here's the Cyber Dark Dragon. Take the sleeve off. So for the front, it's pretty clean, and then the back, oh wow, this is like pretty much packed fresh. Yeah, this has been packed well. There is like let me see if I can show you guys. There is like this small thing, but dude, I'm really happy with this. This is definitely binder worthy. To me, we had this discussion on my Discord actually. We were talking about like whether imprints or like a pin dot is as bad as something like the scratches that you saw on the Silent Doom. And to me, I actually think it is not. Even the pin dots back in the day, they never really mattered as much as they do now. Like before PSA came onto the scene. To me, I always thought pin dots were okay, like it's fine as long as there's no like actual playware where there's no history. This, I could easily say like this is a near mint to mint card, even with a small dimple in the back there. I don't mind it at all. I'm super pleased. Wow, dude, I checked off a huge card here, man. This is a huge card for the binder, because there's no way I can pull this one. This is like super hard. So 4-6 cert seems like it's doing pretty good. It's number 1 in the lead in terms of like card quality. Now let's get to the 5 cert with Shining Phoenix Enforcer. To me, from my experience, I would say the 4-6 all the way up to like the 5-8, 5-7 era was probably the strictest I saw PSA. I could not get any 10s during that era. I would send in like pack fresh cards and I would have no luck. So that's my assessment. Let me know what you guys think, what your experience was like. But I would definitely say like the 4.5 all the way up to like the high 5 era. I would say that was kind of like the most brutal PSA was. All right, so that's the label, and let's take a look at the card. All right, so here we have the Shining Phoenix Enforcer, the card that is arguably one of the hardest cards to pull. This is like Sacred Beast level worth of difficulty. And let's take a look at the back, and we have, okay, so we have scratches. You can see them right here, okay? But these do look like factory scratches because they're not very deep, and there's no smudging whatsoever on this card. So this tells me that this was done from factory. To me, I think that this is a fine, you know, like binder copy. I would be okay with something like this. I think it would be fine to me. If I had this in my binder, I would say like this is definitely a near mint card. You have to be very, very scrupulous if you want to pick out these scratches right here. I don't know if you guys can, yeah, right there, you see them? They're not very deep at all. You have to hit the light perfectly to see them. So I don't really regard that as playwear, and I would be fine with something like this as a PSA 9. I would definitely say the Cyber Dark Dragon is the best card so far though. And here we go, completely sealed. Perfect. So that's the Shining Phoenix Enforcer. So I would definitely rank them A. I would rank this one to be A-, and then this one I'll probably rank a C. And now we get to the 6 sir, which in my opinion, 6 and 7 sir are quite overrated. I think that they are actually not as strong as people like them to be. But we will find out. I mean, I would love for this to be a super strong 9 like the Cyberdark. I would be very, very pleased if that was the case. With the Glass Secrets, I mean, I would love to get some like really minty copies, but they're just a little too difficult where I kind of have to settle a little bit. The ultis are a lot more available in mint condition, but the Glass Secret Rares, they're just, especially those 5 that I mentioned in the video before. Check this card out. Like, this card is ridiculous. Okay, anyway, checking the condition now. Front looks immaculate. The back, so the back has, oh wow, this is clean. Okay, so it has the same scratches as the Shining Phoenix Enforcer. Let me try to catch it. You see, like, the fact that I have to do all of this to get it, to me, that makes it a near mint card. Obviously, the eye can see a lot better than the camera, but if the camera can't see it, I'm happy with this. I would definitely say it's an A-, just like the Shining Phoenix Enforcer. If I was to get this one, and like, if obviously I'm very happy with this, but like if somebody else was to crack this and get a PSA 9 and they were disappointed, I would question like how mint you think a PSA 9 should be. But yeah, very pleased. So, I mean, we hit 3 out of the 4. I can't really ask for much more than this. I honestly would say like all 3 of these are pretty much pack fresh. I have seen pack fresh cards that receive these same type of lines, but I would understand if somebody said, oh, like, this is not pack fresh. But dude, I'm super pleased with these, man. Like, this one, I already had one anyway, so it doesn't matter. But these I didn't have at all, so they are going to make excellent additions to the binder. All right, so we're going to be throwing them into these Blue Rain sleeves. If you're trying to pick some of these up, they're available at strictlysealed.com. Check it out. Yeah, that is fire. And it's completely sealed with these, as well as like the outer sleeves. Nothing's gonna get to these cards. Perfect protection. Check this out. Boom. Cyber Dark Dragon. These are so big, man. These are like 500 each if you're trying to get a clean copy. And then Silent Doom. Very, very pleased, man. By the way, isn't it so weird that there's 0 3 certs on eBay? Like, look it up. I'm telling you, it's gonna be so weird. It's gonna trip you out, I promise. There is no 3 certs for Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, or anything like that in PSA. I don't know. That's kind of I don't understand why that is, but it's definitely peculiar, so I figured I'd point it out. Alright, so we just finished cracking. Now you guys saw the results. In my opinion and experience, I think there is some merit to the idea of 2 certs as well as 6 certs and 7 certs not being as accurate as PSA intends them to be. And let me tell you exactly why that is in my opinion. So the first reason that 2 certs are not accurate is PSA was not taking Yu-Gi-Oh cards seriously at the time. I mean, they did not even have proper cases that fit the cards like they do today. So that's one big issue. In my opinion, I think back then they were not as serious. However, you had the biggest pool of really minty cards that could be sent for grading. So this is not to say that you won't be able to find mint cards in the 2 certs. It's just if you do find one that is not mint, you should not be surprised. They didn't take it serious at all. There was no imaging back then. Like I said, the cases did not even fit the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. There's been a lot of issues with these older cases that don't fit the cards. I am going to be covering that as well because I had like an LOB Blue Eyes PSA 10 get damaged because of these old cases. But again, it's not to say that 2 certs are completely disqualified. It's just you have to be a lot more cautious when you're buying them. Truly examine them, look closely. You have to remember that the biggest pool of gem mint cards existed back then. It is not today. So definitely keep that in mind. Now on the reverse side, during the 6 and 7 era, in my opinion, I don't think there's enough gem mint cards and mint cards to satisfy the PSA standard per se. So what I mean by this is if you decide to sub in like a bulk order of 100 cards to PSA, do you think that they're not going to give you any 9s or 10s? Of course they will. The main reason is because if they don't, you're not going to sub again. You need to see some value coming from them. So because of this, you'll always see some 9s and 10s slip by that don't really deserve it in this era. And like I said, most of the mint cards that exist in the world today have pretty much already been graded. You're not going to find, a population boom of LOB first edition Blue Eyes that completely just appear on the market. You're not going to see a huge explosion of ultimate rares that grade PSA 9s and 10s. You will see them come by every now and then because again they have to give you some sort of value to justify you grading with them, and these cards in my opinion are the ones that are not really worthy of being PSA 9s and 10s. So combining these two is why I say the whole 4 cert to 5 cert is the most accurate. So I say mid 4s because after the mid 4s is when they got the new PSA case, which is basically the one that fits the Japanese cards perfectly. Before that they were using a Pokemon case, which is like a big disaster. So having graded in all of these eras, this is why I concluded that the 4-5 cert up to like the 5-5, 5-6, 5-7 is the most accurate and most cruel that PSA was. And I say cruel because the 4-5 era to the 5-5 era is pretty much where like the biggest boom in Yu-Gi-Oh ever happened, and this is where so many people were cracking open boxes and sending them in. So many people were digging out their old collections and sending them in, and this is where PSA in my opinion was the most scrupulous when it comes to their grading. I had so many cards that deserved the PSA 10 that did not get it because they were submitted during that era. So you had a twofold, right? Because during the COVID boom they had the most amount of cards being submitted to them. This means that they were not able to hand out PSA 9s and 10s willy-nilly, but at the same time they were also taking the Yu-Gi-Oh card game a lot more serious. They brought a brand new case just for Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So like you can see that their attention was on the game, and in my opinion this is where you have the perfect candidates for cracking. This is not to say that you're not gonna find in 7 cert. I mean, I submitted a pack fresh Blue Eyes that I pulled recently. It is where you're gonna find a lot of cards slip by, not really deserving the 9s, not really deserving the 10s, and maybe not even deserving the 8. But yeah, that's pretty much my conclusion, my thought analysis. Let me know your thoughts down below. In my opinion, I think PSA is still pretty reliable. I think CGC is the most reliable company there is in terms of accuracy of grading. However, not a lot of people submit to CGC. There's not a lot of value in CGC, so a lot of people are deterred by it, and it's kind of like a never-ending loop, right? Like nobody wants to submit because there's no value, and there's no value because nobody wants to submit. So it is what it is. I mean, we'll see how the future unfolds for the whole grading scene for Yu-Gi-Oh! As well as Pokemon. But I just wanted to give you guys this experiment as well as my 2 cents on the whole grading and what eras you should be buying, etc. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and if you want to support me further, I have a Patreon where you can view old market watches that I've done, get some discount codes on my product, and you can always shop at strictlysealed.com to get the best TCG accessories on the market today. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed and I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.